Welcome to Module 1. In this module, we will discuss what AI is and where it came from. Have you ever typed a question into ChatGPT and got a surprisingly good answer? Then have you wondered whether you could get into trouble for using it? If so, then this course is for you. This is not because you need to become a technologist, but because you are a lawyer and because AI is already in your practice, whether you chose it or not. Your clients are using it, your colleagues are using it, and so are your competitors. One way or another, our profession is going to have to form a position on AI and rather be ahead of the curve. To begin, what is AI? AI means software that performs tasks that, until recently, required human thinking. For lawyers, 4 categories matter, and they build on each other. The first is machine learning. This is software that learns patterns from data. This is how, for example, spam filters work, how document review platforms flag relevant documents, and how fraud detection systems operate. It is not new. It has been running quietly in the background for years. The second is natural language processing. This is software that reads and generates human language. For example, contract analysis tools, legal research assistants, and really anything that processes or produces text. The third is generative AI. This is software that creates new content from a prompt. Models like ChatGPT, Claude, and Google Gemini are generative AI. These are tools you have already heard of, and if you haven't, you should get on them quickly. The fourth, and the most important for where legal technology is heading, is agentic AI. Agentic AI takes a goal and acts autonomously across multiple steps. It does not wait for a prompt at every turn. It works on its own to perform a goal. The AI tools that are built into platforms like Casey and Jade, which will be discussed later, are agentic, and that is why they can do far more than just answer questions. And now for some history on AI, told fast, and because context matters. In the 1950s, a man named Alan Turing asked for the first time if machines can think. This question essentially launched an entire field, and it was following this that a few years later, the term artificial intelligence was coined at Dartmouth College by a man called John McCarthy, and the field was formally named. After the 1950s came the AI winters. Twice, enormous hype collapsed when the systems simply could not deliver. Funding dried up for artificial intelligence, and no one was paying attention, including lawyers. In 1997, an artificial intelligence by IBM called Deep Blue defeated Kasparov, a chess champion. This was a major milestone as a machine beat a world champion for the first time. This was impressive, but still narrow, and it was still task-specific. Between 2004 and 2009, the internet changed everything quietly. There was Facebook, the iPhone, and massive datasets. There was a data explosion that made everything that followed possible. In 2011, IBM's Watson defeated 2 Jeopardy champions on live television in language, wordplay, and general knowledge. The legal profession, however, still did not pay attention when it should have been. In 2012, there was a deep learning breakthrough when AlexNet dramatically outperformed every other system in image recognition. This is the inflection point and where the modern AI era starts. In 2017, Google published a paper called Attention is All You Need and introduced the transformer architecture. Every major model today, like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, all trace back to this single paper. In 2022, ChatGPT was launched. There were 1 million users in 5 days. This is truly when lawyers began asking questions. In 2023, ChatGPT-4, Claude, and Google Gemini were released, and Harvey was adopted firm-wide by Allen and Overy. This is a key time when legal AI goes from theoretical to real in 12 months. In 2024, Microsoft adopted Copilot in Word, Gemini in Google Docs, and AI stops being something you go looking for. It comes to you. In 2025, agentic AI goes mainstream, and models stop answering and start acting with agents. Harvey reaches a valuation of $8 billion, and now in 2026, AI is in courts, in practice management, in trademark registries, in due diligence workflows. The question is no longer how AI belongs in legal practice with lawyers, but rather how do you belong in practice with AI? So why now? Why did all of this happen in 2022 and not in 2002? This is because three things converged simultaneously, and none of them existed at scale before. First, massive datasets. The internet gave AI systems access to hundreds of billions of words of human language. Books, articles, legal judgments, contracts, conversations. The scale of training data is what makes these models coherent. Second, computational power. GPU chips, originally built for gaming, turned out to be ideal for AI training. NVIDIA built the hardware that made large-scale AI training economically viable. This is why Jensen Huang's company became one of the most valuable in the world almost overnight. Third, the transformer architecture. Google's 2017 paper solved a fundamental problem in how machines process sequential information like language. Without it, none of the tools you are now being asked to evaluate would exist. This is why the AI we have now is not simply a better version of what came before. It is qualitatively different. And that is why the legal profession's previous attitude of polite disinterest is no longer sustainable. Let me put names to the products, because as lawyers, these are the ones you will encounter. Firstly, there is ChatGPT, made by OpenAI. This is the one that launched in November 2022 and made AI a household conversation, the most widely used generative AI product in the world. Second is Claude, made by Anthropic, built by researchers who left OpenAI. Anthropic's focus is AI safety alongside capability. Claude is particularly strong at long-form analysis and nuanced reasoning, relevant for legal work. Third, Gemini, made by Google, integrated into Google Workspace, which means if your firm uses Google Docs, Gmail, or Drive, Gemini is likely already available to you. And fourth, Copilot, made by Microsoft, powered by OpenAI. If your firm uses Microsoft 365, Word, Outlook, Teams, Copilot is the AI layer being rolled into those tools. This is the most likely route through which AI enters a traditional law firm without anyone making a deliberate decision to adopt it. Know what these are and know who made them. We go much deeper on the companies behind them in Module 2. One more thing before we close this module, and it is the most important conceptual point in the whole course. A large language model is, at its core, a prediction machine. You give it text, your prompt. It predicts what text should come next, based on patterns learned from training on billions of examples. That is the mechanism. That is all it is doing. The outputs can be remarkably competent. They can summarize a judgment, draft a letter of demand, identify the key terms in a contract, and explain a legal concept in plain language. But they are still predictions, not facts, not legal advice. Predictions. This means two things for your practice. First, AI output requires verification. Every legal proposition, every case citation, every statutory reference needs to be checked against primary sources. There are documented cases internationally where AI fabricated court decisions that do not exist, and lawyers were prosecuted for relying on them. That risk is real and it is not going away. Second, your judgment is not replaceable. AI does not know your client. It does not know the commercial dynamics behind a matter, the relationship between the parties, or the strategic objective of the advice. You do. That distinction is your value, and it is not under threat from any tool in this course. You now know what AI is, where it came from, and why it arrived at this scale right now, rather than a decade earlier. In the next module, we meet the people who built it, the founders, the investors, and the companies competing for the legal market. Because knowing who they are and what they want will help you evaluate every tool they put in front of you.